Hello guys, and welcome back again. So we're done with our cup buster keyhole, and we're done with our skirt. So the final thing we are drafting before we go on to cutting is going to be our sleeve. Okay, so of course by now you already know your working tools, so we're not going back to that again. Anyway, so first of all, you're going to have your top line. I always have my top line, right? So some people call it their margin line. Okay, so that's what I'm drawing. Sorry, I need to use my marker so that you can see. Okay, so first of all, I should have drawn this off camera anyway, so we're not just starting all over again, but all the same. Anyway, so that's my top line, as you can see, and before I complete that line, I'll just draw my center line. Okay, so your center line, as usual, like I said, can be for your front or your back, but in this case we are drafting a sleeve, right? So this is just your CF, that's your unfold line. Okay, and this is your top line, which is your margin line. All right, so as usual, please always never forget your calculator. So we had a formula for if you remember from the last class, the formula for the armhole was your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Now for the formula for our cap's height, if you look at your armhole, when you're drafting an armhole, right, so I'll use my pencil and try to illustrate that. So this is your whole hand, right? Okay, so this is the top part of the hand, and this is where the armhole is. On this part, on the outside part you're seeing, you can take your sleeve measurement all the way down, but on the underarm where you have the armhole, you cannot take your sleeve measurement all the way down. You can only take from under your armpits down this way. That means there is there's a gap between your top arm and the underarm. That is what we call the cap's height. So it is this cap's height we now have to find. The difference here, this is your straight sleeve, this is your underarm. That difference between your straight sleeve and the underarm is what we're going to find. And what we're going to do is we'll still go back to our bust measurement. Okay, so for this class, we had used the bust measurement of 46. So we're going to take yours, not mine. I'm just using mine to teach, right? So for the 6, or my client's own, or your client's own, whatever it is. So for the 6 divided by 12, I'm sure you must have come across this. It's like a formula that cuts across, and it works in different ways. So for the 6 divided by 12 plus 0.5, right? So whatever you have, in my case I'm having 4.3. So that means the difference between my long sleeve and my underarm is 4.3. Okay, like I always say, if you have watched my YouTube videos, I know I have sleeves somewhere, and I always say, when you're taking your sleeve measurement, take like all parts of your sleeves, all the elbow, the fat part, the 3/4 part, the wrist, take them all. It aids you to shape your sleeve. That's why I was going to say, I made my tulle sleeve and did not fit. It did not fit because you did not take all parts. So you're taking all. Take here, like I have a bigger arm, I must take that part. I must take this part. I must take this part. Take all your measurement. It helps, slim your sleeve to what you want it to be. All right. So now that we have our cap's height of 4.3, I'm going to measure down. So from my top line, I'm going to measure down 4.3. All right. So you can count your tape and find, or you can use it as 4 1/4. It's still fine. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So that's it for me, and I'll mark it at different points. All right. I'll mark it down at different points. So you now extend that into a straight line. Okay. Now note, all your measurement is coming from here. So you can decide to draft whatever sleeve. For me right now, I'm even trying to take my sleeve measurement. I'm just drafting it to 12 inches, okay? And at that point that you're stopping, you can take your round sleeve practicing what I'm taking my round sleeve at that point. You know, don't make it too tight, just okay. So my sleeve length is 12. I'm going to mark my 12 inches, all right? And I'm going to mark my 12 and then extend it into a straight line. All right, so if I need to level this is your top arm. Okay, that's the top of your shoulder. This is your sleeve length. All right, this is your round sleeve. Please extend this to whatever you want it to be, and from here, whatever we're going to draw here, when we draw it, we are going to call it the underarm. So have you seen all this leveling? This is how your sleeve goes. So you have the top arm, that's like towards the top of your shoulder. You have your sleeve length on this side. You have your round sleeve, round the sleeve, and then you have your underarm. That is where we talked about. So it's the difference. Now, have you seen that here we have the sleeve length? Here we have the underarm, which starts from here to here. What is this? So that is what we've just found. That's what you use your bust divided by 12 plus 0.5 to find. Some people don't add the 0.5, but whatever, for me, it works for me. You know, so you can also try it out. So now we need to put a measurement on this part that we took our calf's height. Do you remember? Now you have to remember what we took. So you can always say, remember we did 46 divided by 6 plus 1.5. So whatever you had there is what you're going to impute on this line, all right? So in my case, I had 9.1. So I'll impute that here on this line. You've added an allowance in your main pattern, then you add the allowance here. So at my round sleeve, whatever you have as your round sleeve, divide it by 2 and impute it here. Okay. So my own is 8.5, and I've done that. So once you've imputed it, you can now draw your line all the way down. Now, at times, when I was saying if you're doing a long sleeve, you take all your measurements. From here, from this underarm, you mark down 4 inches. Mark that point. And then take your round measurement at the top arm. This round measurement here. So whatever you have here is what you're going to fit at that point that I said come down 4 inches. You know, so whatever you have, you're going to fit it at that point. So for me, my round sleeve at that point is exactly what I have here. If yours is not, especially for those that are slim, you know, there's always a bit of a difference when you're drawing this line. So if it is not, bring it in to wherever it is. Let's say it was here, right? This is where it is, you mark it. So when you're drawing this, you use your curve. Put it this way, not too curvy, and take it to that point you have marked, and then bring it back out to this point. So that's what it's going to be. Don't fret if it looks funny. It is the way your hand is. Okay. So let me clean that so we don't get confused. So I've verified that part. So also the top arm measurement is also what you put at this point. So when you do this, now there are other methods. If you check my channel, I'm sure you'll find another method of sleeve. This is a different method. This one, I'm not going to go there. Is this other one, you have to draw your line, find your midpoints, do the front, and then, do the front, and then you do the back. I am not doing that method. This, I am just doing a straight up thing. That's the way I want it. So learn how to draw your S. So all what I'm doing, I'm using my pencil, and I'm creating like an S to that point. I'm going to draw it out with the marker for you to see. So I want to get it first. It's better for me when I get it first before I draw it, okay? So create that X. I'm sure you've already seen it anyway. So once you've done that, you can now use your curve. Use your curve to place it and mark it out. See, I keep flipping my curve because that's the essence of this. I mean, you know, that's the essence of having a curve anyway. You should be able to learn how to use it. So that is it, all right? So for me, I'm done, but I don't end it there. I take my, just to be sure, so that if you need to do any alteration, then you can, instead of just telling yourself, I am sure. the sleeve is going to be like this, you know. So you take your pattern and still check. It helps. Okay, this is the armhole here. Sorry, that's the next one. So you can take your pattern and check, so that if it's not okay, you know, you can now use this armhole to add to it, so that you're not running into any issues at all. So mine is perfectly fine. But please, if you check yours, so let's say you checked and you know you have this excess like added to your sleeve, then you move this your sleeve, and as in move this line and mark it at that point and join it back to your to all your measurement points. That's the essence of always checking with this. That's just why I check. So it's not that you're not sure of what you've done. Like I had said, if you had already added a seam allowance here, whatever you've added here to your main pattern, add the same thing here. So when we are adding allowances here, we're going to be adding half. At this part, you're going to add the same thing. If you choose not to, it's still fine. But you have to remember that when you're sewing it, if you have kept just half an inch, please sew at your half so you don't run into issues. But for me, I keep the same thing. I can trim it off. But I do it because I have plus size clients that have big hands. And in time, I don't know if they're going to expand or reduce. You know, so you need to keep that allowance for it. Now, if you're going to be joining with the lining, you're going to add only half an inch here, right? But if you're going to be sewing and just folding over without any lining, please add up to 1.5, 2 inches here to give you that very nice fold over. That will be your allowance. So don't forget, I said this is on fold, okay? So we are actually done. That's how easy my sleeve is. So I think we are done with this. There's nothing else except we are creating anything. So if I'm creating anything with the sleeves, then I'm still going to bring that back. Right now, I don't even really know what I want to do, but I think I'm going to have ruffles on that keyhole. So if we're going to have ruffles, then I may have to just take a part of my sleeve to create the ruffles. So that's another class. So for this, it was a sleeve class. So let me write it here. So this is the pattern drafting for our sleeve. So please, if you're doing a long sleeve, extend it, all right? If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please do, channel rather, please do. I am actually uploading a whole lot of stuff, bag making, right? So when you make your outfits, you can actually make your bags to go along with it. It's always fun. So my YouTube channel is actually going to be mixed, not just clothing anymore. So we're going to be having some craft there, but basically bag making, because I teach that as well, okay? So if you haven't, please go join our YouTube channel. So when I upload some other videos, you know, you're able to watch it. Although this is like our paid class, but I'm sure the sleeve video should also be on the YouTube channel, all right? So as usual, it's been a Macadel online training, and I have been, or I am, I still remain Nita, your physical and online instructor. So if you have any issues, please send me your messages. Like I always say in all my videos, if you want to be a master in this game, you must learn to master the art of this game. Without that, it can't work, meaning that you must train and train and train and retrain. So you know it, it's not that you don't know it, but try to learn another person's method. Take a bit from it and add to your own. It actually helps. I keep giving this advice because it has actually worked for me. You know, wake me up and give me a pattern and I'll bring it out. It's not because it's a particular pattern, but I can mix everything. I attend trainings as well. So please do. I know you know this already, like I always say, but there's no harm in adding on knowledge to what you already know. It helps, all right? So I'll be seeing you in